library haul. So happy I was able to go today. And you might even actually get a text message. I'm texting my grandmother to see if she can take me to the mall tomorrow. So maybe, hopefully, a comic haul tomorrow. Or maybe this weekend, hopefully, again. Because if she can't do it, I'm going to ask my mom for this weekend. I want to go see Suicide Squad this weekend. And to make my mom do both is not a good idea. So I want to do, like... So it's perfect, it works out perfectly. I was able to get my dad to take me this afternoon to the library, and then I'll go, hopefully, to the mall tomorrow with my grandmother, and then to the movies, hopefully, on this weekend. Hopefully. So, reading recommendations, but let's do the library haul first. And what was really funny about that, so I think you guys know, some of you guys know that I have it on my phone. I write them down because I return the books and they're off my account by the time I get home. So and there's no way in hell I'm gonna remember all of them. And I've forgotten to put them all down. And luckily my iPad had not refreshed, so I was able to get the right ones and to double check because I did it off memory on the ride home. And then let's see what she said. How about period? How about period? Oh no. She said how about, and she just did period into a time. You must have put. Okay. Alright, that's okay. So yes, she's able to. Nice. Now it's gotta ask my mom for movies this weekend. Okay, so speaking of movies. And one I was very, very, very happy that it was the extended cut and Blu-ray, so it was extended cut, is Green Lantern. Yeah, I know it's not the best reviewed Green Lantern movie, but not more people, but more, no, not more. I'm surprised that more, yeah, there we go, that was the word I was supposed to say. I'm surprised that more people actually like this movie. Like, they don't love it, they just thought it was like, it was good, it wasn't as bad as people say, yada yada yada, it had some good parts in it. And I've seen a couple clips, and I'm not like, it's not totally terrible for me. And good, it is a Blu-ray inside, so I was very happy, because the librarian in the email, she was like, not every Blu-ray you put in is Blu-ray. And it was very weird the way she worded it. I was like, what? You said most of the Blu-rays, but then she said, for this one, she was happy they put in that I had put Blu-ray if available, because Blu-ray was not available. And that's Trick or Treat. This one is one that I saw a little clip of it for a kill count for that James A. Janice series that he does, and it sounded looks very interesting. So I'm like, you know what? I'll watch it. And these two, I'm probably gonna. You might not get next week, because I still have to return. I still have to read. Still have to watch Tenet and Big Lebowski and all those other movies I took out on Tuesday that you saw. So I got a lot cut out for me. And because I had gotten both because it was the last two for Transmetropolitan, I decided to do the same at once. I got them at once. I decided to do the same for Wicked and the Divine. Oh, it was Volume 8. Volume 9 is a shorter one. So this is the final 2 volumes in Wicked and the Divine, which is a series that I'm mixed with. I like it. I like it enough to want to see what happens in the end, apparently, clearly. So, it's obviously good enough for me to, it's obviously interesting enough. Flash Volume 4 Reverse. I love this run. This is such a damn good run. And if they don't have the next few volumes, I'm probably just gonna chip in and get the omnibus, or just wait for a flash sale. Copperhead Volume 3. This is one I have not read. The first 2 I had. I was just doing a refresher course. Something I should have done for Wicked and the Divine. These were 2. It was not a good idea to do that. Oh yeah, sorry. This one got surprisingly good reviews on Goodreads, although it was weird. It looked like it was marker written, but it was the way they did it on the cover. Yeah, it's Goodreads, and yeah, I don't think the writer is a good writer. Who's the writer? He's like one of those writers. He wrote something. Oh no, Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher, who did Brendan Fletcher or Cameron Stewart did Motor Crush. So Batgirl Volume 1, Batgirl Burnside. This was post New 52, but pre-Rebirth. It was that little weird, like that 2015 into that kind of weird thing They revamped, kind of, sort of. It wasn't really a revamp because this takes place 5 years after. But I really liked that I really liked that Gail Simone run, and I kind of want to get into that Rebirth series, see if that's something I'm gonna keep reading. And it seems to be a sequel to this, so I'm like, you know what? I'll read that finally. Chew Volume 8, Family Recipes. Such a damn good series. Pick this up. It almost is worth buying it individually. But yeah, check that one out if you haven't already. All New X-Men. I think this is the last one. The Utopians. This is the lowest review, I believe, at least. This is the lowest reviewed X-Men, All New X-Men book from Brian Michael Bendis' run. But so far, it's been good. And finally, last but certainly not the least, this is one that I don't think I've ever mentioned. I think I've gotten like 2 comics of this series, but this is like back in the day, TMN, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is the first, I hope it is, the first few black and white, yeah, it is, like a black and white original TMNT, like the very, very first few issues. It's a lot thicker than I thought it would be. In fact, at first, I thought it was there's another book I put in, I thought it was that, because that one's also a huge hardcover book. So it's kind of funny too, because earlier today, because for reading recommendation, I wanted to return them, and I only had 2 left of each. I was reading, not taking a break at all, or anything like that. I don't know why I said that so awkwardly. And it was good, because I was able to go, because I at like 3 o'clock, I was like, the books aren't in yet, and no way in hell is my grandmother going to take me out this late. I did this all for nothing, and thankfully my dad was able to take me. But it was one of those things where it's like, I did that all for nothing. I pushed myself to read all these books and not take any breaks, or take very little breaks or nothing. But quite honestly, except for 1 or 2, I think it was like 1 o'clock. Other than that, at 1 o'clock, I was doing it every half hour anyways. I had time to kill in between. So let's get on to them. First one up, American Vampire. I'm gonna do that one right off the bat. That one was not my cup of tea, I guess. And it's really weird. I'm gonna go get the other book I'll be reviewing. It's really weird because one of the books, it's actually Scott Snyder and Stephen King. And Scott Snyder and Stephen King are both favorite authors of mine. Stephen King way more than Scott Snyder, but Scott Snyder wrote the Amazing Batman series. I was saying Amazing Spider-Man, that incredible Batman run, and he wanted to say Stan Lee, and then Stephen King wrote Carrie, and it's Stephen King. I'm sorry, I'm distracted right now. Stephen King is just Stephen King, and I've read like a bunch of his books. Carrie, I have probably read 7 times. That's no exaggeration. And The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time, and is one of my favorite books of all time. So you would think that a powerhouse couple would write, not literally, would write one of the best damn books of all time. And it would not matter if it was about Shakespeare. I would still enjoy it. I did not. I felt the same exact way that I did the first time. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes, like, the Batgirl, aforementioned Batgirl Gail Simone run, I like it a lot better the second time. In fact, a lot better. Because the first time I read that Gail Simone run, I was like, eh. Second time, I was like, holy shit, that's a good book. And for Iron Fist, spoilers, it's a little bit less so. And the 50th time I've taken it out. And you'll know about, I'll tell you all about that when I review it, but the video was already going to be long enough anyways. So, I just dropped it the first issue. I was like, done. Let's do the one this is not a library book, clearly. This is, in my opinion, this is about to fall. In my opinion, is the best, it's the best book to read if you're skeptical of the Silver Age. Because, unlike Avengers and Iron Man, it's actually good. This is actually good stories. It was like Stan Lee was passionate about it. I don't know how to explain it, but I think the best way to explain it is that the characters were well written. Iron Man, yeah, he was like, I like how he's written to be a total jerk character, and you're supposed to hate them. That's the whole point of the character. But I just thought the stories were really boring. Same for Avengers. Avengers was incredibly boring. Like, if that was the first Stan Lee book I'd ever read, I would never have picked this up. And luckily, this is one of the first, if not the first, Stan Lee book I've ever read. And as such, is a very damn good book. And I don't think I'm saying much when I say that. But it does have the Stan Lee isms, a bunch of dialogue, as you can see here. Hopefully, that was the best example. I just flipped to a random page. But like dialogue on every page, a bunch of dialogue. Dialogue on every panel. They explain what's going on. I've mentioned this before. When I did my review of whatever else it was. I think it was. I don't know what it was. It was one of them. But yeah, definitely better than Avengers or Iron Man or anything like that. I was going back to the very first Spider-Man because I thought they had the first 5 in my local library. Not in my local library. The first 4 in my local library, and the 5th one after intro loan. They're gone. They must have been in really bad condition for them to throw them out. So next one, I don't know if they did, but it's been like a few weeks. Like I think I checked like a month ago actually. So I think they're gone. Not that someone's taken them out. And it's not even on their catalog. If you look up Spider-Man, you're not going to get the Marvel Masterworks. Umbrella Academy, a lot worse than the first volume. The first volume was just so good. Like the first volume was like, this is the peak of. Like also, what happened with the first one is I finally figured it out. What makes a good, even though it's not written by Grant Morrison, what makes a good Grant Morrison book? It's written by Gerard Way, and Gerard Way, he's actually in My Chemical Romance, which is actually a pretty good band. The only one I've listened to of theirs is the Teenager song. It's the only one I like from them so far. Well, not so far, but I've heard from them. I say read by accident? I might have. But anyways, Gerard Way is a huge Grant Morrison fan, and it shows in his writing because it's very Grant Morrison-y. And that was my epiphany. An epiphany. I was like, oh my god, this is what makes a good Grant Morrison book, is that it's confusing, but you're into the world. Like you want to know what's going on. You want to. Not necessarily like put the puzzle pieces together. You're just along for the ride, and you love the ride. And the second one was a lot more. It was a lot boring. It's a lot more boring than the first one. This one just like it was way too much dialogue. The action was not there. There was a lot of like talking back and forth and no action. Just exposition here and exposition there. And there was it was very slow, and it was like, this is the same guy who wrote the first volume, really? And because of that, I'm going to drop the title for now. The third and final, I guess it's on Goodreads, the third and final volume in the series, and that series at least, has the lowest rating. So, probably not going to continue with that series. Motor Crush. That artwork, I hate. I wish I had the book with me, but it's very, like, it's pretty SJW. If you were to see an SJW comic and someone were to say, what does SJW mean? You'd show them the artwork, and you'd be like, and then you'd start explaining that. Because you can't, not just the artwork, but you'd explain, like, oh, this character looks like this in an SJW book, and this character looks like that. And it's by an artist who, actually, is it Cameron Stewart? I think it's the same Cameron Stewart that does that Batgirl book. But it's just like, it's too cartoony. It's just very weird. It's only, the action is where it excels. Like the action makes it, the artwork and the action makes it look really good. But it's like the character expressions are really weird. Like, where they draw the characters, it's just not too cartoony. It's hard to explain, but that's how I felt. But other than that, it was a little bit slow here and there. Not as good as I remember it being. But there's only 2 volumes, so I decided to hell with it. I'll finish the second one, then never have to read that ever again. The series ever again. Skyward Volume 2. I unlike Umbrella Academy, while I didn't like Volume 2 of Skyward as much as Volume 1, that's saying a lot, because Volume 1 of Skyward is like Quiet Place it's like a Quiet Place 1, it's the only example I can think of. Or like Alien 1, or all these movies that did like something new with the horror genre, or their genre, like the first Batman movie, maybe like the 1989 Batman movie for a good example. It brought something new to the table. Then when they make the sequel, it's more the same. And this one wasn't more the same, it was just, it seems like it didn't need to continue, or they could have done it in 2 volumes, and there's a lot of filler here. But it's not really filler, because it does make the story continue, but it's just like, you can leave that out of the book and you wouldn't lose too much. That's how I feel about it. Not necessarily filler, but you could take it out of the book and replace it with the stuff that happens in the 3rd volume. Make the series 2 volumes. It wouldn't seem tight at all. It would seem perfectly balanced, as all things should be. This is about to fall again. Yeah, I know, and it's a dated meme, but a dead meme. But I had to say it. It's kind of like when you, I don't know where I was going with that. DMZ, DMZ, let's do, not a smorgasbord, but let's review DMZ and Transmetropolitan at the same time. And let's compare and contrast. There we go, that's the word. Transmetropolitan is a crazy man in an even crazier place. And DMZ is just your average white boy in a crazy world. And he does have a lot of character in DMZ. I'm not saying like he needs to be crazy like Spider Jerusalem from Transmetropolitan needs to be. But it's also, again, sorry, this is like, I'm not stacking this the right way. But it needs to be interesting. Like, Transmetropolitan, because of the crazier things that happen in the book, is a lot more interesting. And DMZ is just like, this is what would happen if, in real life. You know, like, the military bad, people good. And for the most part, it is good. Like, the first 2 or 3 ones, and I'm on the 4th one. See, I don't even know which volume I'm on. No, 3rd one. The first 2 were pretty damn good. It was interesting. Yeah, it was the first 2. It was interesting. I was following along with the characters, and it was like, I was invested, and it was like, it wasn't too, like, overly, it wasn't too overly political when it didn't need to be. And here, it's just like with Umbrella Academy, a lot slower, a lot more dialogue, and to an insane degree. Like, that last issue was like, oh my god, guys. And almost every issue was like, this gotta be the last page. Oh wait, I have 10 more pages? Damn it. It was like 5, but you get the point. But I think I'm gonna continue with the series. Because I've read series, and Transmetropolitan especially, where it was, let's say the 3rd volume was the slowest one. Actually, for Wicked and Divine, their 2nd volume was pretty slow, and I was ready to drop the book completely, but I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. Same with DMZ. I'm gonna continue with it. Umbrella Academy too, but at most I'm gonna take, at the very least, I'm gonna take like a month or 2 off from Umbrella Academy. And unlike Wicked and Divine, I'll remember which volume we left off on. And then Transmetropolitan was probably the highlight. It was so damn good, so damn entertaining. And again, like I said before, I'm almost considering just getting the 5 the books. Again, you can see that video, right, went through all the collected editions for examples on this, but I'm gonna just get the 5 books, which collect all 10 volumes. Even though I have the last volume, I'm about to read the last volume myself. Hence, they had all 10 volumes at my on Intraloans, and the first one at the local library, and the 5th one for whatever reason, or the 4th one. It was really weird. They didn't have the first 4. It had volume 1 and then volume 4. It was very weird. Thank God they had thank God they have Intraloans. That's it.